From NBC Studios in New York.
Every night, Conan O'Brien walks on stage to make people laugh. Every day, scientists are working to understand the millions of years of evolution behind that laughter. And they are learning valuable lessons from comedians in their quest to understand the origins of humor.
You can't, just before you're introduced for the monologue, go, what could I do that'll really endear me to the Rust Belt in the 50 to 65 demographic? I've got it. And then go out there and do it. You just have to be yourself and hope that that works. For you science freaks out there, I got some news for you. Yesterday, NASA sent the spaceship Global Surveyor on a 10-month mission to Mars, which is very cool. Yeah, it was sent up with the hopes of finding a team that the Jets can beat. And don't find it. You gotta...
Perhaps the science in joke telling has to do with the method of joke delivery. And we've been able to identify our characteristics of the delivery itself. Long pauses, large gestures, big gestures, and fluctuations in the intonation of someone's speech.
Here at the MIT Media Lab, Josh Walkman and his partners are studying the monologues of comedians. Their computer program translates the comedian into a stick figure to analyze gestures and speech.
So you can see what's going on here is the circles correspond to the locations of the hand and head positions as they were tracked by the computer over time. And over here you can see the input to our analysis. There are 4 features we've extracted from the stream of data. The hand position, the hand velocity, the pitch track, which is what you're listening to, and the inter-onset interval, which is the length of the pauses in the speech.
The computer clusters the data into 4 classes.
Class 4 is the one we've been looking for, which is long pauses and large gestures, or points of emphasis in the monologue. Conclusion of a joke, or here comes the punchline.
What they found is that the joke's effectiveness lies not in the joke itself, but in the way it's told, including gestures and pauses. Could humor be signaled through a primal, nonverbal form of communication?
And it may be that the professional comedian uses these speech and gesture signals concurrently in order to guide the audience member into the delivery, into the maximization of the humor. And that could be the science in joke telling.
We must discuss tonight's show, because it really is a fine one. You know, not all our shows are fine, but tonight's... Why did they laugh at that? Truth makes people laugh.
No one really knows if a person is going to respond to a joke, but scientists are beginning to discover where humor originates in the brain. At NASA's Langley labs, psychologist Peter Dirks is looking inside the brain to find out what happens when someone gets a joke.
Right now, what's going on, Bob is being hooked up to the recording device so that we can get readings of electrical activity from his brain. Okay, Bob, what we're going to do is present you, or you're going to present yourself, with several jokes.
All right.
And the way it's set up, the body of the joke is all presented to you until you get to these 2 asterisks. That means that's the punchline. So when you get to that point, then you push the space bar, and out comes the punch word. The central part of humor is this incongruity that people recognize and react to and perhaps try to resolve. And an incongruity, of course, is something that is a shift in your expectation. You're following the train of thought down one track, and then all of a sudden it's switched off in another direction. And whoop, where did I go? What's that? That's not congruous anymore. It's different. How can I resolve that? How can I put it back together? So it is a problem-solving task.
Dirks has found that if the subject reads a logical statement like, "The pizza is too hot to eat," the brain registers the word eat as congruous, puts it in the right category, and registers a positive wave, all in approximately 300 milliseconds.
If you say, "The pizza is too hot to cry," then that doesn't fit. And so you get a negative going wave at about 400 milliseconds that indicates that, well, there's something incongruous in the environment, not necessarily laughable, not necessarily funny, but nevertheless something that the subject reacts to as being just, it doesn't fit the category.
In other words, the brain reacts at 300 milliseconds to a congruous statement, and at 400 milliseconds to an incongruous statement. It is in this difference of 100 milliseconds where humor may originate in the brain.
One way to think of it, I guess, is that it's as if the brain is going into a state that will enable it to start searching for other alternative explanations of what's going on and bring them together and resolve that incongruity.
Dirk's findings may indicate that humor evolved in the brain as an incongruity detector, an important neurological process for problem solving. When our brains classify a problem as a joke, we laugh.
That's funny.
On an intuitive level, Conan O'Brien's writers construct incongruities to evoke laughter from the audience.
And you know what? I didn't even do that well with the audience, but that was just funny. That's funny. That's funny. I think it's hard to say what exactly makes something funny. I think it's a lot of times it's general terms like incongruity, like something being where it shouldn't be. You know, maybe in Conan's case today when we did this piece of him in London, it was this sort of, you know, quintessential American kind of goofball walking around London. So we're juxtaposing him with stately London.
I've got some facts on Big Ben. It's so loud, it can be heard for 3 miles in either direction. It takes 12 men to wash it every day, and it weighs over 5 tons. Oh, I'm sorry. They're writing about Fergie.
Comedians build these incongruities into a joke to surprise the audience. They know it works when the audience laughs. Neuroscientist Robert Provine takes a more scientific approach to the origins of laughter.
People laugh in basically the same way. So whether you're talking about a booming guffaw, or whether you're talking about a high-pitched titter, when you analyze it underneath, you find a same consistent kind of framework. So you see that all of those laughs have in common short, regular bursts of sound that repeat at regular intervals. Our approach to the study of laughter is very much like field studies in biology. You know, for example, as Jane Goodall went to Gombe Stream Preserve to study behavior of chimpanzees in the wild, we did the same thing in the study of human behavior. So what we're doing is stalking the wild laugh. And most of the time, a person will look at you and say, well, you'll have to tell me something funny. Will you laugh for us, please?
Tell me something funny.
Or, I can't laugh on command.
Well, what do I have to laugh about?
Provine is finding that laughter is unconsciously controlled.
Push the button, please, and then release it.
Right here?
This button here. Hearing laughter produced for the laugh box causes you to laugh. So the sound of laughter causes laughter. And yeah, that's not only sort of socially interesting, but it's telling us something very important about the way the brain works. There is a special mechanism of the brain that seems to be activated by the sound of laughter. And when it detects laughter, it responds by producing laughter in the person that hears it. If a person's with a friend, they'll immediately turn to their friend and then laugh.
That's not a real laugh.
It's so reliable. It's as if you scripted it. And it's because laughter is a message that we send to other people in our group.
Provine's field studies of 1,200 cases led him to conclude that laughter is a special form of communication. People laugh 30 times less frequently when they are alone. Speakers laugh more than the person they are speaking to. Surprisingly, most laughter is not a response to jokes. This basic form of communication may have originated very early in the evolution of our species.
We're seeing a kind of behavior that's very much like what you would associate with animal calls and bird songs. You're looking at instinctual behavior that's influenced very little by newly evolved cortical structures in the brain. You're talking about those parts of the brain that are associated not with the communication of thoughts and ideas, but the communication of emotions.
Scientists who study why we laugh, how we communicate humor through gestures and pauses, and what happens in the brain when we hear a joke are finding that the origins of humor lie far back in a primal stage of our evolution. Conan O'Brien calls it instinct.
There's something about comedy that's so of the moment, you know, and you just have to, you just do it, you know. It's, if you're thinking about it too much, it ain't gonna work. It's like sex that way, you know. You just gotta happen, you know, and in my case, both get laughs. Ooh.
We record the EEG. The analysis involves computing statistical tables and coming up with the brain maps, which represent their mental states as they had engaged in the task. And when somebody is engaged in the task of, for example, monitoring consoles or gauges, is that they become more and more relaxed, and you tend to see an increase in alpha, which is the non-processing state of the brain, and a decrease in beta, which is the very attentive state of the brain.
Careful what you're doing. Well. Is that? That's all right. It's not in your way. No.
You stand kind of be a director and say, okay, that's all we need, now let's go to this point, right? Yeah. Then we go to a reset point, well, 5 miles before the, you know.
One of the reasons for doing this thing is to, for the HEM group to defend their thrust five work. So thrust five and 1931, but well, the other thing will work well. You might want to wait till the air is.
And show the inside.
V16 would have and then let it go that long. That could be from the air.
Yeah. That takes a lot longer. We're on time waiting for Alan.
We're going to be doing it all day.
You're waiting for Alan?
We're in state. Okay.
And these are the adhesive collars. I'm just putting them on ahead of time.
No, we have to do it at the door and open it. Oh, very good. Basically, what we're going to do is make sure.
Okay.
You ready?
Be more in the thrust five area.
What I'm looking for is this little hole here to the top of your bottom of your ear.
Wide. So, the bottom line is what we're going to try and get out of today for us is running normal ideal runs. In other words, just having them do what we think really kind of
And that should be about 4 inches.
And
You're set. Just go ahead and close your eyes.
what time is lunch? And then he threw up all over the place. it isn't leather, then he looked like a World War I ace.
Is that too tight?
No, it's fine.
Okay. Cut.
アメリカ航空宇宙局 NASA ではパイロットが自動操縦装置を信頼しすぎるあまり起こるさまざまな問題を指摘してきました。その一つが操縦をコンピューターに任せているためパイロットの集中力が低下する問題です。この研究室では脳波を測定して集中力の変化を調べています。シミュレーターで飛行時間1万5000時間のベテランパイロットの脳波が測定されました。
We know a person is going to respond to a joke, but scientists are beginning to discover where humor originates in the brain. At NASA's Langley labs, psychologist Peter Dirks is looking inside the brain to find out what happens when someone gets a joke.
Right now what's going on, Bob is being hooked up to the recording device so that we can get readings of electrical activity from his brain. Okay, Bob, what we're going to do is present you, or you're going to present yourself, with several jokes.
All right.
And the way it's set up, the body of the joke is all presented to you until you get to these two asterisks. That means that's the punchline. So when you get to that...
But next, where does everyday stuff come from? Find out on Discover Magazine, next on the Discovery Channel. Explore.
What do a good joke, disposable diapers, the electric chair, and your television all have in common? Origins. Go behind the scenes with Conan O'Brien and deep into our brains to find out where humor comes from. Learn the secrets of a successful inventor, and maybe you'll have the next $1 million idea. Was the invention of television the dream of an Idaho farm boy or a corporate conspiracy? And find out how one man's quest for power originated the electric chair. Next on Discover Magazine.